20. Attending this conference also include Mr. Huang Libin, spokesperson and head of Operational Monitoring and Coordination Division, and Mr. Zhao Zhiguo, spokesperson and head of Information Communication Management Division of MIIT. And now let's give the floor first to Tian Yulong. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends from the media, good morning. First, thank you for showing interest in China's developments in the field of industry and information technology. And let me introduce to you the overall developments of the sector in 2020. 2020 is an extraordinary year in the history of the country, and facing severe challenges and unprecedented difficulties, the industry and information technology system of the country followed through Xi Jinping's thoughts of socialism with Chinese characteristics for the new era, and implemented the overall planning of the CPC Central Committee and State Council. We followed the general principle of making steady progress and followed through new development concepts and focused on the supply side reforms. And we also vigorously advanced China's mission in developing itself into a strong manufacturing power and a strong power in cyberspace. We also engaged in 6 stabilizations and 6 guarantees. Industrial economy continued to recover, and in 2020, the added value of enterprises above designated sites increased by 2.8%, and the added value expanded by 3.4% year-on-year, and driven by the reopening of many major economies and the transfer of their models, the sector has increased dramatically, and we have allocated more than 340 billion RMB to help clear some of the arrearages of small and medium-sized enterprises. We also engaged in a number of efforts to fight the epidemic, and we formulated a emergent operation mechanism, and within a very short period of time we were able to step up our supply. And in the meantime, we have introduced the public service of travel history query, and over the year we have served a total number of more than 5 billion person times. And at present, high-end in the field of high-end medical equipment, we are supplementing some of the capacities to the weak links, and we are also stepping up our capacity in ensuring the supply of vaccine doses. Manufacturing has also stepped up its pace of restructuring, and we face the dramatic growth of some of the emerging sectors and industries, and there is a momentum of everything going smart and intelligent, and the added value of manufacturing industry increased by 6.6%, which is 3.8% higher than the average of the industry sector. And for high-tech manufacturing industry, it has registered a growth point that is 4.8% higher than national average. And China right now is cultivating a number of fine enterprises to further optimize their systems. A number of very leading enterprises are becoming better, and we are helping a lot of the unicorns and some of the champion enterprises. In the field of traditional industry, we have seen an accelerated pace of transformation, and the gradually improving the level of green development. And as of the end of last year, we have relocated and renovated 1,123 enterprises producing dangerous chemical products. Another sector is the information communication industry, and if we calculate by fixed price, the overall volume of the industry has increased by 20.6%, and for software and IT services, the overall volume has increased by 13.3%. we have also added more than 600,000 5G bases. Now 5G is connecting more than 200 million households in China. We have basically covered all the villages and townships in China. We have practiced the 512 project, which features 5G plus. And we also registered massive development in the fields of multiple sectors, and which has supported the development of high quality growth of the Chinese economy. Important progress is also made in the field of fighting illegal apps and telecommunication-based fraud and illegal broadcasting stations. 2021 is the first year of the 14th five-year plan, and we have accomplished all the targets outlined for the 13th five-year plan, and we will face new challenges and new tasks in the years ahead, and China's manufacturing industry has dramatically improved its positions in the global supply and production chain. Manufacturing of equipments, in particular high-end equipments, have dramatically optimized, and we have also improved our internet industry, and the internet industry has accomplished its development targets ahead of schedule. Digitalization and informatization are pushing the developments of many different sectors, and technology is now playing a dominant role in supporting the development of many different fields. 2021 is the first year of the 14th five-year plan, and it will also mark the 100th birthday of the Communist Party of China, and we will follow through the results of the 5th plenary session of the 19th National Congress of the CPC and the consensus reached at Central Economic Conferences, and we will build China into a strong manufacturing power and strong power in cyberspace. In so doing, we will also advance the high-quality developments of China's manufacturing and industrial sector so that we can achieve more integrated developments. We will produce more high-end technologies to support 6 stabilizations and 6 guarantees so that we can achieve the targets set for this year and ensure a great opening of the 14th five-year plan so that we can celebrate the 100th birthday of the founding of the CPC. So this is a brief opening address, and now me and my colleagues, we are willing to answer whatever questions that you have. Now the floor is open for questions. Please introduce your organization before you ask the question. I'm with China Media Group. Last year, facing unprecedented epidemic challenges and uncertainties both inside and outside, how do you comment the overall performance of China's industry and information technology sector in the last year? Thank you very much for your question, and let me answer this question first and see if my colleagues have any additional remarks on this. In 2020, facing severe challenges and unprecedented difficulties brought by the pandemic, we followed through the overall planning of the CPC Central Committee and State Council, and we were committed to 6 stabilizations and 6 guarantees. And in general, the economy has stabilized and is recovering. And this is reflected by 3 perspectives. The first is that the overall momentum of recovery is very positive, and the added value of enterprises above designated sites has increased by 2.8%. We experienced a lot of difficulties in the first quarter, but in the second and third quarter, it has dramatically picked up. More than 20 sectors of the 30 manufacturing sector has registered a positive growth, and the profit increase of enterprises above designated sets has also increased dramatically. So, in general, the enterprises above designated sets has increased by 7.5%. The second is that emerging sectors are expanding. New momentums and new emerging sectors have played a very important role in advancing high-quality manufacturing. And for high-tech manufacturing, just increased by 7.1% year-on-year, and this is 4.3% higher than the average of the industry sector. And in fields of industrial robots, integrated circuits, and industrial internet, we have seen very rapid developments against a backdrop of a sluggish economy. High-end manufacturing investment has increased by 4.5%, and we've also seen very rapid increase of industrial internets and industrial infrastructures. And third, we have introduced a number of policies to help alleviate some of the enterprises out of their difficulties. A number of policies have been carried out, and with these policies putting on the ground, we have seen very obvious effects. And in 2020, we have cleared a total of 186.5 billion yuan worth of arrearages for SMEs, and in December, the PMI is 51.9%. So for 11 consecutive months, it has been staying above the threshold. So in 2021, we will face some challenges, and if we put together the favorable conditions, we have the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee with President Xi Jinping as the core, and we will continue to engage in 6 stabilizations and 6 guarantees. We will put numerous policies on the ground, and so this will help us boost our confidence in meeting all those challenges. In particular, we have the 14th five-year plan and the 2035 long-range vision, which has pointed the direction going forward, and we will continue to focus on high-end supply and production chains, and this is one critical area of our effort. And secondly, China has a massive market, and we are very resilient, and we also accumulated a lot of experience fighting the pandemic and reopening our economy after the epidemic, and we have strong capacity in coordinating the resources of multiple sectors so that we can guarantee that our economy can grow at a reasonable range. We must also be mindful of our challenges, and we still face uncertainties from the external environment, and we also face the uncertainties brought by the pandemic. And domestically, there is the imbalance of recovery between different regions and different sectors, and small and medium-sized enterprises still face a lot of difficulties. So we still face numerous pressures, but I believe that with the strong leadership of the CPC Central Committee, we'll be able to follow through some of the deployments made at the 5th plenary session of the 19th National Congress of the CPC, and we'll be able to build a new development strategy that features dual circulation. Next question, please. I'm with China Media Group. We have noticed that in 2020, 5G in China has registered a China speed. And what is the key of 5G development in 2021? Thank you very much for your question. In 2020, Ministry of Information and Industry, Ministry of Industry and Information Technology has increased its investment in 5G, and 5G commercialization has made important progress. And let me share with you a set of data. Throughout the year, we have added more than 600,000 5G bases. Now 5G is covering all the cities and major townships across the country, and we are connecting more than 200 million households with our 5G services, and different sectors are also connected to 5G, and 5G plus industrial internet has now more than 1,000 programs, and 5G plus distant medicine is applied in more than 60 hospitals across 20 provinces, and we also have 5G plus smart electricity grid and 5G plus distance education. We have some new types of businesses that are emerging on the market. So in general, 5G is empowering the society and it's serving the society. And 5G is increasingly becoming a major pillar to support high-quality developments. 2021 will mark the beginning year of the 14th five-year plan, and facing new tasks and challenges, the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology will follow through the important guidelines made by Comrade Xi Jinping, and we will follow through the deployments of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council, and we will focus on 3 areas of key work. The first is to advance the development of 5G so that it can empower more sectors. The first is to dramatically increase its coverage. And we will continue to deepen the development of 5G, and in 2021 we plan to build more than 600,000 5G bases on the basis of covering existing provinces and cities. So we have the plan to dramatically expand the coverage to some county level places, and we will continue to support the electricity supply of 5G applications, and through 5G virtual electricity grid, we will be able to support 5G to dramatically expand its service to medicine and to manufacturing and to many different sectors. The second is to dramatically increase our innovation and cultivate such sectors of 5G plus VR and AR and gaming and consumption, so that 5G can be integrated into health and home services. We'll also increase the sense of fulfillment and sense of happiness of Chinese residents with 5G services, and we will optimize the production procedures by putting on ground 5G based monitoring and sensoring, so that we can support the green developments of enterprises, and by putting on ground some of the pilot programs, and we will scale up some of the experiences that we accumulated in some successful programs. The third is to increase the overall strength of 5G, and according to the progress of version 27 and 28 of 5G, and we will step up our research and development in 5G augmentation. We will also accelerate the production and research of customized 5G chips and modules. We will further supplement some of the weak links to guarantee the safety of the supply chain and industrial chain. And we will continue to organize experiments in 5G millimeter waves to support future developments of the 5G application in China. Thank you. I'm with Peng Pai News. In 2020, China's chip making industry suffered a blow that is unprecedented, and so far there is no sign showing that this is mitigating. And how do you comment this, and what kind of safety risks China's chips making industry face in 2021? And some of the downstream enterprises of chip making industry are under 337 investigation of the U.S. And will we face more challenges so that some of the sectors may suspend in the new year? Thank you very much for your question. With the society becoming more intelligent, integrated circuits, as a important component of smart devices. It's playing a very important role, and in the past year, it has driven the development of online communications and distance education, and there is a increasing demand from the market for integrated circuits, and globally, the production chain has faced a lot of stress in the year of 2020, and the State Council in August 2020 has circulated the opinions and policies regarding advancing the development of software and integrated circuits industry. And going forward, we're going to stimulate the efficient flow of elements and resources, build a positive business environment, encourage international enterprises to step up their investment in this sector, and also dramatically increase our supply in this particular field. And as for the question that you have mentioned, let me briefly address that. Recently, U.S. enterprises submitted a proposal to the U.S. International Commerce Council, accusing some of the Chinese enterprises that they are infringing upon their intellectual property with the products that they sell in the United States. And we have shown a lot of attention to this aspect. And I can tell you that the development of China's electronic industry hinges upon not just domestic enterprises, but also effective international communication. As a regulator of this industry, we actively support the high-quality development of electronic enterprises and high-precision tech companies. We are opposed to illegal infringement of IPR, and we also are opposed to the investigation of 337. And relevant enterprises have released their statements, and going forward, the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology will guide relevant enterprises to protect their legitimate rights and interests. And with Red Store News, my question is that over the past few weeks, there was a cold weather in China's north, and a lot of the electronic bike owners have experienced a lot of difficulties because their battery wouldn't work in such cold weather. And the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology has organized a seminar on this particular issue. And what are the progresses that you have made in this particular field? With the progress of technology and the optimization of some of the supporting facilities, and new energy vehicles have been welcomed by more and more customers compared to combustion engine vehicles. Electronic vehicles are cheap to operate, and it's also features more maneuverability in driving, but in general the industry is very expensive, and there's a lot of difficulties in charging the electric vehicles, and in particular during cold weathers. And this is reflected in a couple of scenarios. First, in cold weathers, the capacity of the battery will shrink, and in particular in the northern part of the country, we are having some cold weathers, and there is a lot of reaction from consumers. And I can tell you this is something that we encountered while making progresses, and these problems can only be resolved with the continuous developments of technology. And we believe that with the betterment of technologies and with better regulatory services, electric vehicles will definitely increase their performance with the passage of time. And this is a question concerning the interests of consumers across the country, and we will always put people in the first place, and we will organize seminars that consists of enterprises and academia, and we will step up our research and development of some of the best batteries so that we can increase the resilience of electric vehicles in terms of their battery performance. And we have just concluded a seminar to help solve this problem, and some progresses have been made and some of the measures have been introduced. The first is that we ask electric vehicle producers to improve their after-sale services and guide the society to use electric vehicles in a scientific manner. The second is to support automakers to improve their technology so that they can dramatically enhance the resilience of their battery performance. The third is to step up in formulating some of the technical specifications and popularize the application of work conditions in China, and step up regulations and supervisions in product entry. At present, some major enterprises and industrial associations have acted in formulating vehicle use guidelines in winter, and they have also made important deployments in research and development. Next question, please. I'm with China Daily. My question is that what is the overall landscape of small and medium-sized enterprises, and what are the measures that you plan to take to support the development of SMEs in 2021? Thank you very much for your question. Well, let me answer your question. CPC Central Committee and the State Council attach great importance to the development of SMEs, and during the pandemic, a number of policies were introduced to support SMEs, and since the second quarter of 2020, SMEs have recovered their business operation, and important progress is made in profitability of these enterprises. According to some of the statistics in 2020, as of November, the total profits of SMEs above designated sites has increased by 14.9%, and it has registered a consecutive growth for 14 months. But in general, SMEs face a lot of challenges and difficulties. So going forward, MIIT will continue to unswervingly support the development of SMEs according to the 7th meeting of the State Council. In supporting the development of SMEs, we have specified some of the measures, and we will build a better policy and service mechanism, take measures to alleviate difficulties facing SMEs in financing. We've also increased the innovation capacity of SMEs so that SMEs can become a major driving factor of innovation. And we will focus on 3 key areas. And during the 14th five-year plan, we will formulate a guideline for SME development. So we will first and foremost focus on top-notch and top-level design so that we can increase our capacity in supporting the development of small and macro enterprises. So we have made important progress in this aspect already, but we will further enhance our service mechanism for SMEs, and we will take some actions to empower the development of SMEs and improve the business environment. And secondly, we will make important progress in some of the policy framework. We're going to dramatically increase the financial support mechanism, and we will be working with the Ministry of Finance to alleviate the financial problems facing SMEs by expanding credit-based loans and delayed interest paying loans. We will dramatically increase the coverage of this type of loans, and this kind of work was already initiated last year. Important progress has been made in this particular field, and we will also guide some of the enterprises to go public. In particular, we are going to ensure the payments directed to SMEs, and this is a very important part of our work. So we will continue to commit ourselves to protecting the interest of SMEs, and important efforts will be made in this very important aspect. And the third is that we're going to focus on one overarching goal, which is the overall empowerment of SMEs. And within 3 to 5 years, we're going to drive the development of 30,000 SMEs, and we're going to cultivate more than 10,000 small giants, which is industry-leading SMEs. So these SME giants will become big corporations, and they will be cultivated into much more powerful enterprises. And in so doing, we are also going to dramatically enhance the innovation capacity of these enterprises. And if we can focus on all these 3 areas, we can help the SMEs to register a giant leap forward. Next question, please. I'm with the South Morning Post. The epidemic is taking another swipe in Hebei and in northeastern part of China. How is that affecting China's industry and information technology, and how will that affect the first 2 quarters of our economy in 2021? My next question is about the steel sector, and there is discussion that China is setting a cap parameter for carbon emission in the field of steel production, and what progress has been made in this particular field. And also, we have the plan to build 1 or 2 world-leading iron ore plants overseas, and what is the progress made in this aspect? Thank you very much for your questions. You asked more than 1 question, and let me address them one by one. And recently, the epidemic is taking another swipe in multiple places, in particular in Hebei and in northeastern part of the country. There are more resurgences, and this will affect our economy, of course, but compared with the epidemic we experienced last year, the impact of this time will be very limited, because we have the experience learned from our fight in Hubei and in Wuhan, so this will not lead to a massive suspension of operations. Relevant ministries are working on policies to encourage people to celebrate the upcoming Spring Festival at where they work, and there are no specific policies confirmed as of today, but I believe this policy will be very conducive to the smooth running of our business and industry. The second question you asked is about the steel production. This is one very important measure that we have taken to reach the targets set by General Secretary Xi Jinping to reach the peak of carbon emission by 2030, and our ministry has carried out a lot of researches in this project, and we have the plans to reduce steel production in 4 fields. The first is to curb the increase of newly added steel production capacities, and for new steel factories, and they will have to strictly follow the policy of capacity swap. For illegal behaviors, we will step up our regulation and constantly enhance our supervision in environmental inspection, in quality, and in energy efficiency, so that we can strengthen the production behaviors of enterprises. The second is to improve our policies and measures according to the new development landscape of the industry. Our ministry is working together with other ministries to formulate new industrial capacity swap policies, and this will further consolidate the work of reducing steel production skills. The third is to enhance industrial integration. This will help us to avoid the convergence of the industry and unreasonable competitions of the industry, and also solve the problems of lack of coordination of the sector. And this will also dramatically increase the scale effect of the industry. The fourth measure is to dramatically reduce the scale and production of the industry. And we will be poised towards the targets of reaching the carbon emission peak of China by 2030, and we will take reference to such restrictive targets of carbon emission and energy efficiency. And in 2021, we are going to manage and reduce the steel production capacity with these measures. And the third question you asked is about the iron ore plant overseas. I can tell you this is an important strategy of the country. Right now, China has a foreign dependence rate in iron ore that is more than 80%. So if we could build a iron ore plant with international rights, we could dramatically change the landscape, and we are currently making a lot of progress in this, and I will skip the specifics. With regard to celebrating the Spring Festival at where you work, we will formulate and introduce new policies in the next couple of days. And with daily economic news. Recently, MIIT disclosed 170 apps that are illegal. And so what are the infringement behaviors of these applications, and what punitive measures does the MIIT have over these apps? Thank you very much for your question. Recently, we have disclosed the first batch of 157 apps that are infringing upon the rights of users. As you have mentioned, these apps are illegally collecting personal information, illegally using personal information, and they are also claiming more mandates from our users. We require that relevant apps should complete the rectification by January the 29th, and the MIIT will organize subsequent investigations and inspections, and for those who didn't correct their mistakes, we will further disclose their names and remove them from app stores. And you mentioned a couple of apps. with the developments of the information society, the protection of privacy is one key area of our work. So in order to better protect the rights of users, the MIIT has taken a number of measures to address this problem. We have made important progress in this aspect, and last year we took 4 measures. The first is to launch a special investigation and inspection. The efforts were conducted for 2 consecutive years, and we looked into some of the illegal apps that are illegally collecting and using personal information that's harassing our users. And specifically, they have committed 10 misconduct. And from 2019, we have completed our technical inspection over 620,000 apps, and we forced more than 2,000 apps to correct their wrongdoings. And we also removed a lot of apps from the app stores. The second measure we took is to support the popularization of industrial standards. We have organized a lot of seminars and discussions for apps collecting information from individual users. We have formulated a minimum standard and threshold. We have already formulated a lot of guidelines, and we're in a position to later disclose these policies to the society. And the third measure is that we have used some of the technologies to step up monitoring over certain platforms, and we are using artificial intelligence and big data to constantly protect personal privacy and advance the nationwide app monitoring platform. And in the information age, we will focus on monitoring, which is one very effective measure. And the fourth measure we have taken is to dramatically step up the regulation over the industry, and we encouraged more than 14 industry leading enterprises to make public promises to the society. By working with internet enterprises with Zhejiang, we have mobilized a number of enterprises in other localities to make public commitments to the society. Going forward, on the basis of the results we have already achieved, we will further consolidate our positive results. In general, we are going to further protect the safety of information of individual users, so that we can dramatically and fundamentally protect individual privacy. I'm with the Xinhua News Agency. The 5th plenary session of the 19th National Congress of CPC vows to support high-end development and to create a new development landscape. And what measures does the MIIT have to implement new development concepts and formulate a new development landscape? Thank you very much for your question. MIIT will follow through the spirit that we had at the 5th plenary session of the 19th National Congress of CPC, and in building new development landscape, the MIIT will play a leading role, and we will play a leading role in building a new landscape in the 14th five-year plan. And we're going to focus on the following 5 areas. The first is to focus on planning. Guided by the overall 14th five-year plan, the MIIT will formulate detailed plans during the 14th five-year period, and we will seize the time to publish some of the plans and to well respond to the industrial development strategy of the country, and to ensure the steady developments of the manufacturing industry. The second is to intensify our control over the industrial and production chain, and we will accomplish some of the key targets of industrial chain developments, and we will take a number of targeted measures to supplement some of the weak links of the industrial and production chain and make important breakthroughs in some bottleneck technologies. And in particular, we're going to redesign our industrial infrastructure and upgrade some of the infrastructure and cultivate more skills and technologies to improve the overall industrial competitiveness. And we're going to focus on smart manufacturing and to enhance the integration of intelligence and the manufacturing industry, and we're going to formulate new development momentums and new business types. In the meantime, we're going to enhance the infrastructure of 5G and some of the new applications in the industrial internet age. And we are also going to enhance digital industrialization and industrialized digitalization. The fifth is to create new demand with new technology, and we're going to focus on better service to the industry, and we will step up research and development on high definition and display technologies, and we will also dramatically increase such consumptions as smart terminals and smart TVs. In the meantime, by leveraging the massive domestic market, we're going to dramatically enhance effective investments and support investments in technological upgrading so that we can formulate a mechanism of innovation. And the next is to cultivate a number of very strong enterprises, and we will continue to improve the business environment, cultivate a number of fine enterprises. First, we will need to support those big enterprises so that we can cultivate a number of industry-leading enterprises. In the meantime, we will be working together with some of the local governments to develop a number of very special and specialized enterprises so that we can promote the integrated developments of big, small, and medium-sized enterprises. If we can practice these measures and policies, we will be very effectively support the high-end developments of our economy in 2021. And the MIIT will practice these measures and policies in 2021. Thank you. Next question, please. Thank you very much. I'm with First Financial News. The comprehensive China-EU investment treaty shows that China will relieve its investment restrictions for Europe in the field of electric vehicles. And what kind of impact does this have to China's electric vehicle industry? In a new backdrop, how will the Chinese enterprises improve their competitiveness? Thank you very much for your question. And in developing China's auto industry, we have followed the principle of open development and cooperation. I can tell you China is among one of the most open auto markets in the world. Almost all the auto brands have joint ventures in China, and they have also scored enormous revenue by operating in China. According to the general planning of China in 2018, we removed the foreign equity restrictions for electric vehicles, and in 2020, we removed the foreign capital and foreign equity limitations for commercial passengers, and in 2021, we are going to remove the restrictions that there can be no more than two wholly owned foreign auto enterprises in China. So in terms of openness, there's both challenges and opportunities. On the one hand, as the auto markets of the world is going smart and electric, automakers have dramatically increased their investment in China, and this has helped China to improve its own production chain, advanced the auto-related technologies, and also increased employment opportunities on the market. And on the other hand, Chinese enterprises have improved their technology in the process of dealing with foreign enterprises, and they have also dramatically enhanced their competitiveness. On the other hand, after we remove restrictions of foreign equity shares, and there will be more vitality from the markets, and those enterprises featuring backward technologies, they might be gradually phased out. President Xi Jinping has reiterated that China will not close its door of openness, and the door of openness will only be opened wider, and we will embrace the concepts of globalization, and we work with relevant countries in design and development and research, and we will jointly protect the developments of the auto industry and encourage the industry to intensify its inherent strengths and improve the capacity of technological breakthroughs. And we can only score high-end development with high-end technology. Last question, please.